am Candace Hightower. I am actually a search and rescue trainer. I train dogs for our Bastrop County first responders. My little girl, Rose, she's a cadaver, so we find human remains.
So I'm going to pause for a second because somebody may be confused, especially if they're just listening online. Your little girl, as in the little girl dog sitting below you here in the chair. Okay, so
My Belgian
she's a cadaver dog, not a real cadaver. We're not, that would be a different thing. So we've got a cadaver dog. This is the first cadaver dog and handler that we've had on the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you.
So,
Bastrop County, with our first responders, we don't have a whole lot of search and rescue dogs. In fact, she will be the first for our area. We are along the Colorado River, and so we have a lot of missing children. We also have a lot of missing people that end up in the river. So she's going to help us navigate that and help us find human body remains.
Yeah. How did you get into this?
I stumbled upon it, actually. So I just started, I'm a retired nurse from pediatrics, and I was told after my stroke that I was never going to be able to work again or do anything. And so I set out on a mission about 3 years ago, got my EMS certification, and then I got to help out a lot with our search and rescue team out in Bastrop County through the sheriff's office. And fell in love with it. They asked me, well, what do you think about joining? And I thought, I can train. And I'm training these guys. I actually get to go out on these missions. And so it's been stumble onto it, and I fell in love with it and have been doing it for about 3 years now.
Wow, that's great. How long have you had Rose? You said 3 years?
So Rose is actually only 9 months old.
Oh.
I rescued her at 5 weeks old before she got euthanized. Started my training with her when she was 2 months old. And she picked up on human scent right away. And so we've been knocking it out ever since. And she'll get her certification when she turns a year old. But my other dog, he was 3, has been doing it his entire life.
Wow.
So
were you involved at all with any of the flooding or any of that?
I did not get deployed. I actually had to stay back because of training her.
Okay.
So her training is very extensive. We train 4 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And we train all over Bastrop County. So we go to different areas like bridges. We have a lot of wooded areas out there. So we go out and train. So we spend all day long training.
Tell me about what that's like.
So training her is that you have to put scents out for her to be able to. So like body parties.
Right.
You have to go out and hide them, and then you just let her loose. And so what she'll do is she'll navigate, and you just follow behind her. So we usually have on a 10-foot lead, and she'll navigate through like the waters, the rocks, the debris, whatever it is that we're training at. She'll navigate through and try to find the scent. Once she is alerted to the scent, it's usually 3 barks. Once she gets to that 3rd bark, she gets her toy. And we do that, like I said, it's literally like 4 hours every single day. 7 days a week.
How many times does she get rewarded throughout the day?
Oh, she gets rewarded every time she finds, what we put out. She gets a reward. So she'll get her ball, but then when we head back to the vehicle, then she'll get. I only do freeze-dried treats because they're healthier for her, and then she'll get that reward as well too.
How big is the need for a cadaver dog? How often do you get called out?
It's a high demand. There's not a lot of cadaver dogs. There's a lot of live hind dogs, but not cadaver because it's such an extensive training. Most dogs, it takes 2 years to get certified.
Is that something that she's only certified in Texas, or could she go anywhere nationwide?
Nationwide.
So you could go to any sort of disasters or hurricanes, anything like that?
Yes, sir.
So how different was it when you went from nursing to EMT school?
Different, but not different. It was... So the mindset is that I'm in hospital, all this is pre-hospital. So it's really the things that I could do in the hospital because I had access to everything was a lot different than being out on the fields itself. So you're limited to, you don't have access to needles. You don't have access to all kinds of bandages or splints or things like that. You don't have access to x-ray machines. So you pretty much have to deal with what you have. And for my pack, it's not a very big pack. So I keep like one of a lot of splints and neck braces and things like that. But bandages, I try to keep a lot of. Ice packs, I try to keep a lot of. But I'm also carrying my dog stuff as well. So my medic pack is a lot smaller because I have to carry dog supplies. So if she gets injured, I have to be able to splint her leg. I have to be able to muzzle her. I have to be able to hydrate her. I have to be able to assess the wound and deal with it as best that I can, as soon as I can, and then get her off the track. So for me, it's different, but it's exciting. It's exhilarating because I don't know what I could be facing out on field. So I could be dealing with a patient or I could be dealing with a dog.
So did you have to get your EMT to join search and rescue, or as part of the cadaver dog program? It was just you joined search and rescue for something to do. And if one of our students, let's say they're in EMT school, they're in paramedic school, or somebody out there listening wants to join search and rescue, what would be your advice for them?
So I looked up our local place here in Texas, and Texas A&M has a amazing program, and I paid for the program myself. Now, my county's going to reimburse me, but because I wanted to do it right then and there, I didn't want to go through any channels. I paid out of pocket. So if I were a student, I would tell them, look to see who in your county does first search and rescue school, and then go that route, because you don't have to be an EMT. You don't have to be any medically trained person to do search and rescue. You just have to be willing to put in the hours to the school, and you want to find your local school and see what their reputation is. Now, if they get lots of deployment, then you know it's a good school. If they don't, then it's probably a flyby kind of school, and you don't really want that certification. You want a good school that has reputation, they have credible hours, they have on-site training, hands-on, because a lot of places they'll just do online, but that doesn't give you the hands-on experience that you need. And for something like this, you want all hands on deck. You want to be able to physically see what you're working with and to have somebody there to correct you right away if you're screwing up, no matter what it is you're doing. Are you sending your dog in too soon? Are you not getting the right signals? Those things are vital, especially when you're out in the field and you're actually doing it. It's very vital that you and your dog have that perfect bond. And in order to have that perfect bond, you want somebody who's going to tell you that you did this wrong. You're too soon. You need to draw back a little bit. You need to give your dog that independence, and you need to step back. Otherwise, I've been in school and I've had, oh, you're doing great. You're doing great. Oh, you've passed your certification. I'm like, but it's online. What do I have to show for that physically? I don't have somebody seeing me work with my dog. So I would highly recommend finding a school that does both online and hands-on.
That's really good advice. What kind of call schedule? Are you on call at certain times or just whenever you're off work?
Whenever you get called. So if you're needed, you get called. They do give you a window. Once you get called out, you have a window to prep yourself, your medic, and your dog. So you have to be ready for all of that. I usually keep my pack primed and ready, but it's my dog's pack that I have to pack on a regular basis because things expire, things are no longer good. I want to make sure that I have the right treats for her or whatever it is I need. So her pack usually has to be done shortly after we get the call.
Can you tell us a story about a time where you found somebody, or are you able to share any of those case studies?
I can share them, but I can't tell any names.
Of course.
So for Rose, she hasn't found anything yet, but my other dog, we actually had a missing elderly dementia man who had just come over from Mexico. He did not speak any English. He didn't know how to communicate with anybody. But again, he was in early on-timers and dementia. My dog and I went out and we started doing Lifesaving. And I just needed him to track me to the direction. We got to the man and he was lethargic. He had been out for several hours, so he was very dehydrated. He didn't know what was what, and he was cut up because he had gotten into some barbed wire and to some spiky, thorny bush or some sort. My dog was able to go up to him, relieve him of his anxiety, and then we had a responder come who spoke perfectly good Spanish, was able to translate for us. But it was my dog and I who were able to keep him calm, keep him in place, and time for the rest of the crew to show up and do what they needed to do.
If somebody wants to get into search and rescue to do this, what advice would you tell them? So the cadaver dog can find live people as well, but a live person can't. Well, sorry, there's two certifications. If it's a cadaver dog, they can do both, right?
Correct.
Okay, so they can do living and deceased, but not the other way around.
Correct. So if your dog is a live find, typically, I would say 95% of the time, your live find dogs are not going to find human remains because they were not trained to scent. Because a human remains has decomposition. And so during decomposition, we go through different smells and different breakdowns of our body. Whereas a live find, your blood is still pumping through your body, your heart is still moving, and so they're not keen on those. Whereas a human remain detection dog can also sense that there's a human. We try not to have them do that because then that takes away from them focusing strictly on finding my human remains. Because usually there's a team, and the team could be made up of 5 people. It could be made up of 15 people. And if my dog is trying to find a live human and not human remains, it's 15 people that she's queuing on, and I want her strictly to focus on human remains. And so we tend not to have them cross roads either way. A human's remain dog can do it. It's just not, it's not liked by a lot of people.
Sure. I'm going to ask a question just out of my own curiosity. Is there any sort of reimbursement from the government, or are most search and rescue organizations volunteers or nonprofits, or how does that work?
Both. So you do have nonprofits, you have volunteers, you have paid. It just depends on which department you go with. Our department that we're a part of is all volunteers.
Okay.
So no, we do not get reimbursed. I, however, do because it's my business. So my business is to train these dogs. It just so happens that I'm also a handler at the same time. So I'm a twofold. So I can get government funding because of what I do. I cannot get reimbursement if I go out on deployment through my county. So if they call my county out and I go out with my county, my first responders, then I will not get reimbursed. But if I go out under my business name, then they will reimburse you for your time.
Okay. When I lived in Alaska, it seemed like the Coast Guard was in charge of every search and rescue, and then they would coordinate with the local fire departments. And I know it's different from state to state, but in Texas, is the sheriff in charge of missing people? Like, is the sheriff in charge of?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't know that for sure because I'm just the low end on the totem pole. So I get my orders from whoever the chief and commander is on scene. So if that's the local sheriff, great. If not, we also have people like the government that will come in and they'll take over. So whoever the chief and commander is, that's who is controlling the whole situation. So they'll call out if they need search and rescue, and then they'll direct us in whichever path we need to go. Usually they won't call us out until after a certain time period. And then we, again, like I said, we have so many hours to get ready and deploy out. Once we get deployed out, then we sit there and we wait until they're ready for us.
Wow, that's great.
So
if somebody is interested in learning more about what you do, how can they get in touch with you?
So I have my own website, TDR K9 Academy, or they can go to like their local department that has a search and rescue and ask questions, meet the dogs. They absolutely love it. They love when people come in, and they love when they ask questions, and they love when they learn more, because whether you're a part of the fire department, you're a part of the first responder EMS department, the sheriff's department, we all have to work together in the end. And so if we can all come together and learn about what each other does, as far as this is your job, this is my job, but in the interim, we all work together. We have to support each other. They absolutely love that. I know my county, Bastrop County, Lee County, we have Travis County. We all actually work together. We talk to each other. We go out. We need each other. We socialize outside of our day-to-day business just so that we can all come together in the long run and work as a big, huge entity. TXR, which is a part of the group I'm a volunteer at, we work highly with the government. We work highly with National Guard, with the city council. We work with the governor's office. We work with anybody that calls us out. But again, we have to work with them. And so if they come out and meet us and meet our team, in the long run, it's beneficial for everybody, because then we know that we're united and we're all doing this for a sole purpose.
Yeah, that's great. Candace, this has been very enlightening. You learned some things that I had no idea, especially about cadaver dogs. And like I said, you and Rose are the first guests ever like this on our podcast.
Thank you for having us. And we always love to share our information.
All right. And we'll drop those links down in the description of the show notes.
Okay, great.